Breaking news, or should I say breaking egos. Because Huntsville just turned into the most dramatic courtroom soap opera of the decade, and the cameras weren't even rolling. Are you ready for this? Because apparently, somebody's reality TV storyline has finally caught up with them in actual reality. And let's just say, the judge did not come to play. Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn, silence your notifications, Kate, and hold onto your wigs, because Melody Shari has officially entered her superhero era and the villain of this movie. Oh, he just realized the script isn't written by him anymore. What happens? When a man who bragged louder than a megaphone at a football game suddenly gets put on mute. What happens when Mr. I Run This gets told to sit down in the back row of his own life story? Did Melody finally pull the ultimate Oh No reverse card? Did Martell just get benched from his own team? And is Huntsville even ready for this level of petty justice? Martell Holt believed for the longest time that he could shape the narrative simply by speaking loud enough. But the louder he tried to control the message, the more people started turning up the volume on Melody. Shari's side of the story, and whether anyone admits it or not, the internet has a long memory, especially when it comes to messy breakups that unfold in the spotlight and somehow manage to feel even wilder than scripted television drama. And that is exactly why fans are watching every twist with their screens pressed to their faces, because they want to know how a man who once claimed he had everything together ended up in a position where he is scrambling to prove he is still the hero of a story that clearly moved on without him. And sources close to social media streets have been whispering that Martell's biggest enemy was never Melody, but his own habit of trying to win arguments instead of winning peace, which only pushed the NCHS further into chaos and gave the public more reasons to question his priorities. And while Melody stayed focused on protecting her peace and her children's happiness, the viewers saw those subtle signs that pointed toward a woman rebuilding her life brick by brick, while the person who used to stand beside her was still trying to figure out how everything slipped through his fingers. Because at one point, many people believed this couple was unstoppable, a power duo with business ideas, children, and a future filled with dreams. But dreams do not survive without respect, and when respect fades, the whole foundation starts to crack, until those cracks turn into destruction that nobody can hide from the cameras or from the truth. And those who have been following every interview, every comment, and every silent reaction know very well that this shift did not come out of nowhere. There were countless moments where Melody chose silence over chaos, where she chose consistency over conflict, and somehow silence ended up being her loudest weapon, because it revealed everything without her needing to explain a single word. And now, with all eyes fixed on the outcome of their very public disagreement, people are connecting dots and pointing out that the tables have turned in a way that feels like poetic justice to some and shocking comeuppance to others, because the same confidence that once made Martell appear invincible now looks more like denial that the situation is changing, and changing quickly, with Melody gaining more control over her life, her decisions, and her children's environment, while Martell is left trying to prove that he still deserves the same level of trust and access he once took for granted. And the most interesting part is that this story is far from over, because every decision, every reaction, every shift in tone becomes a new chapter that the audience is eager to dissect deeper than any courtroom transcript or social media post could ever tell, as the tension continues to build in a way that suggests something bigger is coming, and everyone is watching closely to see what happens next. People started noticing that every time Martell tried to shift blame or present himself as the misunderstood knight fighting for his children, the narrative backfired, because the audience was no longer buying excuses that sounded rehearsed and defensive, as if he were arguing to protect his image instead of protecting his peace and those closest to him. And meanwhile, Melody kept doing what the public had admired from the start, which was putting her energy into building instead of battling, as she rose above the drama that kept dragging her name into the spotlight again and again, with people finally seeing that she was not chasing attention but simply minding her life while attention kept chasing her. And the more she flourished, the more Martell struggled to understand that sometimes the world does not reward the loudest voice but the one that stays consistent through the noise. And this shift became more obvious when fans across social networks started reflecting on the past and comparing who walked away from conflict to find clarity, and who kept running back into the fire expecting applause for surviving flames they helped create. And that realization turned into a wave of support for Melody, as viewers voiced that they saw a woman who was forced into strength but embraced it anyway, while Martell looked like he was wrestling with the reality that his actions no longer shaped the future he thought he controlled. And then there were whispers from those digital detectives online who claimed they saw patterns, hints, small red flags that maybe the man who once insisted he was the ultimate provider had made choices that showed he was more concerned with proving a point than being present for the people who mattered most. And while none of these observations came from official statements, the collective perception started forming its own truth because the public tends to believe what is repeated and what is visible, and what was visible was a mother committed to peace and a father appearing overwhelmed by the consequences of moments he once brushed off as nothing serious. So the pressure kept building and the reactions grew louder with fans, leaving comments that sounded like they were delivering closing arguments in a courtroom of public opinion, pointing out every interview, every contradiction, and every gesture that hinted at a man losing grip on the story he once told proudly while his former partner no longer needed to defend herself, because life was defending her through growth, success, and protection surrounding her children in a way that looked like a new chapter had begun without needing anyone's permission to turn the page. Yet even with all that unfolding, there was still an air of suspense because the situation did not feel finished. The energy around them had the audience leaning in, expecting that something even more dramatic might be waiting around the corner, since this saga never seems to settle quietly. And people are prepared to watch how the next big moment unfolds. The story was getting louder every single day, and there was no escape from the whispers because all eyes were locked on Melody and Martell, as if this was the biggest showdown reality TV had ever seen. And honestly, maybe it was because nothing hits the fan like family. Drama mixed with custody, tension mixed with ego battles, and everyone knew neither of them was backing down, since both were determined to prove who was the real victim and who was the mastermind of chaos, while Martell kept insisting he just wanted to be a present father and a better man. But people could not forget the endless nights of cheating scandals and explosive arguments that had already stained his credibility. And Melody was done trying to clean up messes she did not create, so she carried herself like a queen rebuilding her kingdom, brick by brick, while her fans cheered her on loud enough for the whole internet to hear. And as social media detectives kept digging through every clue, it became clear that this fight was far from over, because new claims surfaced suggesting Martell had been contacting people he should not have been contacting, saying things he should have never said, and trying to control things that were never his to control anymore, which made Melody take stronger steps to protect her children and her sanity, leaving the public convinced that there was so much more behind the scenes than what they had been shown. And every time Martell posed for a smiling picture, commenters flooded him with reminders of the past and warnings that karma moves slow but always arrives, while Melody's supporters reminded her to keep shining without ever looking back, because success and peace are the only real clapbacks needed. And journalists, bloggers, and T-pages kept stirring the pot, turning every small update into a viral headline as if this war was entertainment for the world. And honestly, that might be the saddest part, but also the reality of fame, because privacy vanishes the moment you become a storyline on television. And once viewers pick sides, there is no middle ground left and no room for neutrality, as both stars learned in real time that mistakes do not disappear, they just gain more spectators. And although everyone wanted answers, the truth remained locked behind court documents, legal restrictions, and silent glances that told more than any spoken statement ever could. And yet the silence demanded interpretation, So fans kept guessing, weaving their own theories about what would happen next and whether reconciliation was even a possibility. Or if this was the final nail in a relationship that had burned long before it ever completely fell apart, and the tension refused to loosen its grip. In questions kept multiplying, and the show kept rolling, and everyone stayed glued to their screens, and the crowd was waiting, holding their breath. So, now the real question is, what do you think is going to happen next? Because this drama is clearly not slowing down anytime soon, and every new update hits harder than the last, which means we are all sitting front row watching one of the wildest emotional roller coasters unfold right before our eyes. And I want to hear your thoughts right now. Do you think Melody is doing the right thing by shutting the door and blocking access, or does Martell deserve another chance to prove he is changed and can actually step up for his kids? And do you believe there is more to this situation than what we are seeing? Because every detail feels like a puzzle piece that still has not found its place, and maybe the biggest secrets are still hiding in plain sight. So drop your theories, your predictions, and even the craziest possibilities in the comments. Because trust me, this conversation is far from over. And if you want to stay ahead of every shocking twist, every viral leak, and every unexpected moment, then make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single drop of the truth, because more explosions are coming, and you do not want to blink when they do.